Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel for a new video. In today's video I am sharing my process of looking for new music to play. So where I look, how I look, and few tips to find gems. If you are an experienced producer, probably you know everything I'm going to say, but if you just got into DJing, in this video you might find few tips that are helpful for your researches. If you're also a producer and you're trying to get your music signed to a label, I made a video on Patreon where I share a few advices on how to send your music to labels and DJs and increase your chances to get a response, to get your music played, and potentially to release music on a label. So if you're interested, you find the link in the description to my Patreon. Go take a look and consider subscribing. Now let's get started with the video. So first of all, I think there are two types of music research. The first one consists in staying updated with new releases from artists and labels. So checking the stores, checking YouTube channels, Soundcloud, just to know what is coming out today. The second type is also known as digging and consists more in looking for music that few other people has. It might be new music from less known artists or old music that has been forgotten, that back in the days maybe didn't get much success, but today it would surprise people on the dance floor. Because the point of digging is finding those gems that, you know, when you play them, people is surprised, is hyped, is curious of knowing which track is that. And I think this is one of the things that might make the difference when you are playing in a club. And it's also the fun part of DJing and looking for music, I think. So first of all, let's start with staying updated with the new releases. For this purpose, I mainly use 4 websites, but of course there are way more than this. My main one is dj.de, vinyl record store, dex.de. Another vinyl record store is Yoyaku record store, and then for digital releases I check Ace Digital Store, which is the digital store by Yoyaku. Now these are just 4 of them. There are way more, for example Phonic Records, Vinyl House, but there are also way smaller record store online where you can find very particular stuff, interesting and niche music. So consider making your own researches. The way I look into stores is pretty much the same for every store. Let's see on dj.de what I do. I go on all releases and then I order them by update. So basically you see in chronological order since the last release of the day. And then I check every single release, even if it's not of my genre of music. I take a look at the tags. If it's dubstep, of course I'm not interested, so I'm skipping it. But if say techno or deep house, you know, the tags are not so precise, so I always check it one by one, because you risk to skip some good records if you don't. If I find someone that interests me, I put it in the cart and I leave it there, and then I'll go back listening what I have in the cart, because I only buy if I really like them, because it's expensive. Of course I want to buy something that I'm sure I'm going to play, or that I'm sure I will like it for a long time. The releases number on dj.de, the daily number of releases, is not that high, so if you daily check it or weekly check it, I think you can stay updated with everything that comes out. Now the difference between DJ and Dex is not that much. I mean, there are some releases that are exclusive to one store or to the other, but they also share a lot of releases. Another way of looking for new music is checking YouTube channel such as Storytellers. They're doing a great job, they're very active, they publish music every day. Another one is Verzilla, Rises, but there are also many more that are maybe smaller, but they are very active and sharing tracks from smaller artists artists and making those artists stand out a little bit in the scene. This is very, very important. One more way is SoundCloud. I check DJ sets on SoundCloud and I can Shazam the tracks, or looking in the comments if someone asks for the ID, and if you got an answer. Sometimes you're lucky, sometimes you're not. Unfortunately, the best jams, you never find them, so that's part of the research that you have to do. Also, suggested tracks. You get suggested the new tracks by similar tracks by using the radio on SoundCloud and so on. Now let's talk about the best known web store for music, which is Bandcamp, of course. Bandcamp is mostly liked by DJs for finding independent artists' music, independent labels' music, but nowadays you can also find big labels and big names on Bandcamp. Bandcamp is surely not the easiest store to find new music on. First of all, because there are no categories, so there is every genre of music on Bandcamp, and if you want to find something, you need to know what to look for. There are no similar artists or similar music suggestions. There are no charts. You can use tags, but I think they don't work at all. So you need to find other ways to help yourself for looking for new music. Let's see a few of them. I use two methods to look for new music on Bandcamp, basically because I don't know other methods, to be honest. So the first one consists in following artists and labels that I like, so that when they have a new release out, I get notified, and also I can see them in my feed here on my profile. As you can see, I have here, for example, Dubphone released an album, so I know I got a new notification on my phone. I also find it here, so I can go and check his release. The other way, the other method, is by using Bandcamp's feature where you can have a fan account and share your collection, so people can see what tracks you bought. This is very cool. Not every fan account has its track displayed because some people want to keep them hidden for obvious reasons, but other people have their account like public, so you can go and see everything they bought. So when I find a track that I like, I take a look at who bought it, those ones who has a public profile, so I can go in their profile and take a look at their collection. If the collection is pretty big, so let's say 500 more tracks, and they have a similar taste to mine, I start following them. So basically I see everything they buy in my feed. If you take a look here, I follow, for example, this guy, Arrow. He has a very big collection, he has a nice taste, so I check the records he buys, and if I like them, I buy them as well. This is a very nice way to know good music. Of course, it's not really digging because you're not doing all the work yourself, but it's like sharing music between friends and sharing taste between friends. So I think it's a very effective and also good way to support the artists, the labels, and so I really like. There are also some pretty famous DJs, I mean, in the underground scene that has a public collection, and so I go, take a look at what they buy. So it's very interesting, and I think it's the most effective way on Bandcamp to know both new music but also old good music that has been released on Bandcamp, because also on Bandcamp there are a lot of old vinyl records, only vinyl records, that now release also in digital, so you can find digital stuff that back in the days was only vinyl, so that's also interesting. The last two record stores that I want to talk about, I use them mainly for digging and mainly for looking for older music. The first one is Beatport. Now I know a lot of people ditch on Beatport because they think there is a lot of low quality stuff, everything is based on charts and featured tracks, and that is not always synonym of quality, but I think there's also good stuff coming out on Beatport. But what to me Beatport is a goldmine for is old music. If you think about Beatport, it came out in 2004. In those years, digital was becoming a thing. So a lot of DJs were moving from playing vinyls to playing CDs and then playing MP3s. But this was also seen as a great opportunity for labels that until then were releasing just on vinyl, a big opportunity to make more money. So they started to release stuff that before was released on vinyl, they converted it on digital. So basically on Beatport you can find good house music from the 90s, good house music from 2000, and also the first minimal house music from the 2000. Requires a bit of research to find a good one, but there is a lot of good stuff. Many labels also later, when digital was already a thing, kept releasing both vinyl and digital. So I want to show you the way that I look into Beatport. So I usually start from an artist that I like. For example, now I found this Jon Ludwig. I like this track called Demerage. So the first thing that I could do is going in Jon Ludwig profile on Beatport, going to see all of his tracks, and then go at the end of the page. Now he doesn't have many releases in digital, but I go back down to the page and I start listening everything down up. Every track that I like, I look at the label where it was released and I open this in another tab, and if there's a remixer, for example in this case Agnes, I open his profile on another page, and then I keep going listening to all of the tracks, and I do this for every track that I like. So then I move here and again do the same thing, go back on tracks, go back to all the releases and start listening to everything. So you understand this is quite a Chinese box. Everything you find, you open a new tab and you get more and more stuff that you have to check, so it can take a lot of time. Sometimes it goes very well and you find a lot of good stuff. Sometimes it goes bad and you spend hours without finding anything that you like. So keep going. The last record store that of course I have to mention is the well-known Discogs. So Discogs is made for vinyl music, of course, music that was released on vinyl, so you can find even way older stuff than the one that you find on Beatport. But the way it works is pretty much the same. So you might start from a DJ, for example this DJ Jess. You can take a look at all of his releases, both looking on releases but also looking on where he appeared, so remixes, where he did the writing and arrangement and so on. Then you can take a look at the label and you can open the label and see all the label releases. So it's exactly the same thing as Beatport, but this is on vinyl. So you can check the preview on YouTube. Usually there's the YouTube link in the page and you can buy it. The only thing about Discogs is that you have to consider you have a higher price for the record, which is also very high if it's a rare record, and you have shipping costs, so it's more expensive. Also, I was forgetting that on Discogs it's pretty much like Bandcamp as well, so you can take a look inside collectors collections. So for example, here I have this release, I go here, owned by 144 people, so I go take a look who owns it, who wants it, and I can take a look at their collection. So if you find someone who has similar taste to yours, again, you can find good music every day. So this, guys, was my take on how I look for new records to buy. I hope you find some helpful tip. If you have tips for me or for the people watching this video, share them in the comments. Subscribe to the channel if you didn't yet. Thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, guys. Bye bye.